Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I haven't made a video on this channel in a couple days. Every day it has been my intention to get up, and I have all of my videos planned out. I have them on my list of notes over there, things that I want to do for the day. And then I get sidetracked. I have been on this mission to clean out my closet, my clothes closet. My husband, I don't know, about 3 months ago, he went through all of his clothes, all of his shoes, and he got rid of everything that he hasn't worn in years. So his side of the closet looks like that containers and, you know, store or whatever. My side of the closet looks like thrift store, totally. So I started a couple nights ago, I think it was this weekend, I started going through all my hanging clothes. I got rid of all of that. Well, before that, I went through all of my shoes, bagged them up, donated them. Then I went through all of my hanging clothes. I got 6 bags of clothes out of the way. And then today, I started going through all of my like pants and jeans and things like that. It has been so cathartic and therapeutic for me to get rid of all of this stuff and go through it. And you know, it's interesting, I guess this is kind of a topic of grieving too. Not my clothes, because I'm not grieving anything about my clothes. But you know, I have so much of my mom's stuff left, and there are days that I literally can go through it and I'm just like, trash, trash, donations, trash, trash. You know, that things don't mean anything to me. And there are other days that stuff really, really means a lot to me. And it's like everything I pick up, I have a really hard time like figuring out what to do with. So it is, this week, I don't know what it is about this week, but it has been a great day for me to just cleanse myself of all of this mess. I also think this, like I went earlier in the week and I bought new bedding for our bed. And so we have this great new bedding that I'm in love with. It's like this blue comforter and matching like pillow shams, and I got new gray jersey sheets, and I'm in love with this bed, and so is Alex. And so I think we're just like, you know, fall, fresh starts, all that kind of stuff, and it's been so good, you know. And it just feels like this weight has been taken off my shoulders. So if you've been waiting like I have to clean something out, go and do it now. And if you all watch my vlog, you know that like after this, I have the kitchen. And then after this, I have the basement. And the basement I've like been putting off forever. So, okay, today I wanted to get on here and I wanted to read a couple meditations because I haven't been on here for a couple days. It is a rainy, rainy, rainy day. The dogs have been cooped up inside all day. They haven't been able to run around a lot. I went and got coffee and then I did my review video. So I came home, I'm waiting for Alex to get here. We were supposed to go to, this Hannah's Haunted Acres thing tonight. Now, I don't love haunted houses, so I'll go, but I don't usually go to the haunted house. But apparently they have like a haunted corn maze, and I don't know what that means. People chasing with chainsaws or something, I guess. And then they also have a hayride, a haunted hayride. So I was real excited about that part, but it's been pouring down rain, which means, you know, that's not real fun for the kids, okay? So we're supposed to go with our friends Melissa and Jason and another couple that we're friends with, but 2 of them are sick, so they can't go. So we're just gonna do a late dinner tonight. Alex is on his way home, and yeah, so I thought, well, I'm gonna sit down and I wanna do some meditations, because I haven't for a couple days. So I got all my books out here, and I'm just gonna randomly pick the first one, which is, let's see, The Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone. It is October 11th. Let's see what the universe is speaking to us. October 11th. Just one day. A single day is enough to make us a little larger, or another time a little smaller. Paul Clay. What can we do now? What can we do that matters in just one day? We can show kindness to someone, or we can make a stupid and mean remark that hurts someone. We can step forward when we see an injustice, big or small, or we can sit back quietly, afraid to get involved. Every day we make decisions that determine what kind of people we are. What can I do today to make a positive impact on someone or something? I think it's a great meditation. I've talked about this on here many, many times, but there's like this daily quote that I like to start your day with every day, and it's like at the beginning of a new day. And the whole idea of it, I don't have it on me because it's on my phone, but the whole idea of it is that we exchange, every day that we wake up, we're exchanging a day of our life for the day that we're having. And it's, you know, a good question to ask ourselves every morning with intention, you know. This whole idea was proposed to me, I don't know, 15 years ago, this idea of living with intention, or writing with intention, because you know I write books, so writing with intention, or whatever you're doing, what is your intention behind it? And it's okay if your intention is entertainment, or humor, or laughter, or fun, or, you know, just want to like, I don't know, burn some steam or whatever. You know, like those are okay intentions. But I think it's a good question for us to ask ourselves, what is the intention and what is our intention for today? Not every day has to be deeply meaningful, you know? It could be just we want to lay out by the pool for the day and just relax. Our intention could be relaxation for the day. But I do think it's a good question to ask ourselves every single day, what is our intention for today? You know, like what do we want to exchange this day of our life for? And when we are, you know, offered situations where we're quick to get angry or upset or hurt, you know, to realign ourselves back to what was that intention that we set for the morning? You know, was it that we were going to have a positive day today? Well, does this align with my intention this morning of having a positive day? And reminding ourselves that we're exchanging a day of our life for it. Like, that's really, really important for me to do, you know, is when I start getting myself mixed up in the head and scripting conversations and just, you know what, I mean, borrowing trouble that I don't need to borrow, that has nothing to do with me. I sometimes need to set myself straight and go, okay, you know what? Not today. Like, today I'm not willing to exchange a day of my life for this, because we don't know how many days we're gonna have here on earth, you know? Life is fragile, and I'm not willing to just give away days of my life anymore over like just pettiness, toxicity, and chaos. I'm just not willing to do it. And I think it's a good question for many of us, you know, like what are we willing to exchange our life for? Because each day is a day of our life. So if we're giving away a day to just craziness, then what we're exchanging is our life for that. That's really what our life will speak of at the end. And what do we want our day to be about? You know, what do we want our life to speak of? It's a good question, I think, for each of us to ask ourselves on a daily basis. So that's a good meditation. All right. Need a little cup of coffee there. All right. Let's go into, I'm going to read Meditations for Living in Balance. Daily Solutions for People Who Do Too Much. Because I haven't read from this one in a while. Let's see, October 11th. It's funny, I keep them like whenever I go to it, I go to the one before, the one after. Imaginations. One of my favorite topics. Without imagination, there is no goodness, no wisdom. Marie von Eschenbach. What a wonderful thing, what wonderful things our imaginations are. When we were children, imagination was so easy. We had imaginary playmates. We saw sailing ships in the clouds, and we pretended in our play, making up characters, plots, and roles. What happened? As adults, often the only time our imagination comes into play is when we make up stories about how someone is feeling toward us or thinks about us. I'm sure she hates me. She just seemed strange when I ran into her the other day. God, this is so true, isn't it? He's just out to get me. Perhaps our imagination is just so out of practice that it has taken a negative turn. We can fix that. Imagination just asks us to look at the whole range of options. It can be very ordinary. For example, we have a lovely old pine corner cabinet that we bought for our house. It looks as if it had been made 100 years ago, expressly for our corner. After doing some remodeling, we decided to get window quilts to conserve energy, but unfortunately, the top of the cabinet and the roller for the window quilt needed the same space on the wall. What to do? Cut off part of the cabinet? Absolutely not. Opt not to install the window quilt? Absolutely not. Shift the cabinet out of the corner? No. Put in another corner? Not possible. It was time for imagination. Raise up the cabinet and build a storage shelf with a door underneath it so both could fit. Of course. Get reacquainted with your creative imagination. Try using it to solve simple problems around the house. That's an interesting meditation. You know, I think like to bring it back for me, I don't really get caught up in the corner cabinet, if that makes sense. Like, I don't spend a whole lot of time on stuff like that. I just kind of like move the table. Like, I don't worry too much about that kind of stuff. I don't know, like, I've spent so much of my life, you know, like, just really getting caught up with where a couch should go, and it's just really not that deep. It just, you know, it just isn't. I just don't want to spend my mother was somebody that she would just spend hours, you know, like, well, I don't know that table should go there. And then, like, you know, she come, well, the table's kind of bothering. And I'm like, Mom, okay, seriously, like, you've wasted an entire day about this table. I don't get caught up in all of that. But I do very much, and I said this before reading the other meditation, I do very much script conversations or thoughts in my head. You know, I'm somebody that, you know, I'll like know that I have to go and like, let's say if I'm going to go somewhere and I know that there's going to be somebody there that I haven't gotten along with really great in the past, right? I have already scripted out in my head the whole way this conversation is going to go, what they're going to say, what I'm going to say, how it's going to end, all this kind of stuff before I've ever walked through the door. And the reality is it never ends up that way, right? So I am borrowing all kinds of trouble that I don't need to. And I guess the thing is that and speaking about imagination, when I kind of script those conversations out, they do typically go to the negative, and I think it's a protective nature of like, if I go into the situation and I can protect myself knowing what I can say or what, you know what I mean? I think most of us have done that. But I don't really ever look at being imaginative in the way of looking at it in a positive way. Like maybe this will be a really positive experience. I guess maybe that's something I need to start doing a little bit more, especially because I try to so hard, lead with positivity and compassion that maybe if I go into those situations and I think to myself, okay, this could have a really good turnout. I think sometimes it's hard for me to do that because the times that I have gone into things and thought to myself, well, maybe this will like really have a good turnout. That's not necessarily the case. But then we're getting into expectations. And I am somebody in my life set really, really high expectations for people and situations, and I've learned to just not do that. I've really tried in the last couple years to go into situations and, interactions with people with no expectations. It's hard. It is really, really hard to be a human being and have no expectations for how somebody should treat us or whatever. But I also know that resentments are unfulfilled expectations. And so if somebody falls short of how I feel that they should have acted, or if a situation falls short of how I feel like it should have gone, then I build up a resentment, and for me in recovery, resentments are the number one offender. Okay, the battery died. But for me, resentments in recovery are the number one offender. So what that means is if I get caught up in resentments in my head and, anger towards things that happened in the past that can't be changed now, then that is going to lead back for me as a person in sobriety in not a healthy place. And then I get stuck on those resentments. I get stuck on that anger, and I don't want to get stuck on that. I want to be able to live a life of peace and serenity today. It's just not worth it for me to hand over that kind of anger. It's like the saying that we let people rent space in our head for free, and it's absolutely true. And I've really, really worked hard on not letting people rent space in my head for free. And that doesn't mean that I have to go the opposite, to me, really what ends up happening is I have very, very strong feelings about a situation or a person, and then I kind of work through that. I look at my part in it. I look at what's the opportunity for growth for me. And then what happens over time is I really have an emotional detachment from that person. Like it's almost indifference, where I don't really have, it's not like I have a positive or a negative feeling. It's just indifference. It's total emotional detachment. And I think for me, even though that's kind of sad in some situations, it's not like I wouldn't entertain the idea of, working things out in the future. But at the same time, it's healthier for me, I think, to remove myself from that situation, not let those people or situations rent space and time in my head and, room in my head. And then it gives me space for other things, other positive things, people that want to be there in my life, So great meditation. All right, let's pick one more. Let's see the Amy Dean Nightlight one. I like this one. It's kind of a way to end the day. So it's a good way to end the only thing about this one is it doesn't have the topics at the top, so we don't know what we're getting into when we start reading it. October 11th. People who fly into a rage always make a bad landing. Will Rogers. We may have learned rage at a very early age from an alcoholic parent. We may have found we could manipulate people and distance them by taking off at them like a rocket. We found they had no choice but to take cover or speedily undo what they had done to make us angry. Today, we may feel a need to fly into a rage because we fear someone will see our human, vulnerable side. Now that we're dealing in feelings, our rage may simply be a symptom of our own frustration in the slow process of recovery. If a mirror were placed in front of us during one of our rages, we probably wouldn't recognize the person in the reflection. We can do far more harm than good, more damage than repair, and generate more feelings of dislike than like. Do we need to fly into a rage anymore? Tonight we can treat raging behavior as a thing of the past and move on to mature, constructive behavior. Do I remember my last rage? What did it accomplish? Tonight I can work on new scenarios for old, immature behaviors. I don't know that I necessarily remember the last time that I was really heightened by anger or feeling rage, but I can remember specific situations in my life that happened. I think that what the takeaway was that I was misunderstood. There was no healing process that occurred. Well, how I felt was that I was misunderstood, unheard, not validated, and nothing was accomplished. It didn't heal anything. In fact, it just caused more problems, right? that has forced me to really take a look at me responding instead of reacting. Typically when I have reacted in the past, I have reacted out of sadness, hurt feelings, anger, things like that, and I don't react. Like, you know, and when I talk about reaction, what I mean by that is, if somebody hits you, you hit them back kind of thing. I don't typically react in a very healthy way, which is why I have worked so hard on responding, not reacting, because I don't achieve my goals when I am, you know, reacting to such situations. And I have to ask myself, you know, what is it I'm really trying to accomplish in this moment? Is it that I want somebody to feel what I'm feeling? And what am I gaining from that? So if I want somebody to feel what I'm feeling, like, I mean, if I'm feeling hurt and I'm feeling pain, that I want them to feel the same way. Or do I want vindication? Or do I want validation? Do I want acceptance? I have to ask myself what I want. How am I achieving that, you know, by reacting in anger or something like that, right? I'm not. So I have to pull myself back and say, okay, what is my part in this? You know, and as soon as I ask myself that question, and in every situation, like, think about this, okay? In every situation, I have a part. In every situation in your life, you have a part. It's your life. Now, we may not be the one that is pushing the event, okay? I mean, there's some very serious situations that happen to us in life, you know, situations of abuse and things like that, that are not like our responsibility. But there's a difference, I think, sometimes in what we're doing with that in our lives today, you know, and so that's why I always say to people, you know, if that's a point of something that's going on with you, seek some professional help. Please, you know, like, if that's something that you have a history of in your life, go find some, you know, professional help. But if we're talking about just like day-to-day things, arguing with people, other stuff like that, I have to look at what my part is in that, you know? And once I take a look at my part, it really kind of just, it's weird, like the other person kind of vanishes from the situation. And what you realize is, I can't fix them anyway. It has nothing to do with them. It really is about me, and this is, again, an opportunity for growth. I say that over and over and over again, because it's like this, I had this moment of clarity this year, you know, where I realized, wow, and none of this is about anybody else. It's really all about me. Like, I can only fix me. Like, and why would I want to fix anybody else? Why would I want to try, you know? It's really all about me. And then when you get to the point where you start working on you, it really is this kind of like bridge to compassion, where you can see that if I'm wanting to work on me, and I'm not going to make it about those people anymore, or this person, or whatever, or these people that have, you know, hurt me 20 years ago and I've held on to it, then what you start doing is, once you start working on it, you start seeing compassion for those people as well. And then you just want everybody to be okay. You want everybody to feel better and get okay, right? Because then you have compassion in your heart for yourself and for them. So the whole thing is this cathartic healing process, right? But that's why we have to keep on bringing it back to ourselves, bring it back to ourselves, bring it back to ourselves, because it really has nothing else to do with anybody else, you know? So when I get angry today, okay, about just some mundane situation, a fight with a friend, difference of words, things like that, the first question I have to ask myself, well, first of all, I have to make sure that I respond instead of react. And by that, I mean, boom, hit the pause button, okay? Don't respond, don't react right away. Sit on it and think about things. And going through the thinking of things is when I ask myself, Peter, what is your part in this? You know, and this is what happens when I call my sponsor. And then, is this an opportunity for growth? Is there an area that I can look at? Like, why is this hitting certain buttons with me? What do I need to take a look at? What is the area that I can grow from in this situation? And you know, once I start doing that, then it doesn't really become about that situation. And then when I'm at the point where I need to respond, sometimes what I realize is, I don't need to respond at all, because it isn't anything to do with me. Like, maybe that's their stuff and it has nothing to do with me. But what does have to do with me is me taking a look at the growth situation through that. You know what I mean? So then if I let things go for a day or 12 hours or 2 days or whatever, sometimes, well, typically I never feel reactionary anymore. And, you know, it always like dulls whatever's happened in half, typically. So, you know, if I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, if I'm an 8 angry when I'm wanting to react, what happens over a course of a day or two is it usually cuts down to like a 4 or a 2. And then I'm not really that heated that I even feel the need to react to it, right? So then I can respond, and I can respond appropriately. And I think, you know, for me, today I have such go-tos as my sponsor, my best friend, my husband that I talk to, you know, about things and how to act in a responsible recovery kind of way, you know, and like how do I respond to this? And when I go to those people first, and then I do some inventory and I look at those things myself, then what it makes me realize is, you know, I don't really need to say anything at all, because, you know, I can take a look just at myself and look at this as a growing experience. So that's a great meditation. I don't think any of us, I really don't. I think that, I don't think that any of us really want to be filled with anger and rage. When I look back on my life at the moments that I felt very, very angry or very, very rageful, which I think at those times, sometimes we feel like it's a powerful feeling, but I don't really look back on those feelings, and I don't, like, I'm not proud of those feelings. I'm not proud of those moments. You know what I mean? I don't think many of us are. I don't think many of us want to feel that way. I think most of us would rather entertain peace and serenity if we were honest with ourselves. So then what do we need to do to, like, nip those feelings in the butt and work through them? Well, focus on ourselves, not the situation or the other person, because we can't fix that. We can only fix ourselves and how in the future we react or respond. The other thing that's important, though, to remember is I didn't get this far to be anybody's doormat, and neither did you. So there's appropriate ways to respond without being a doormat. And for me, sometimes I kind of go back and forth. I don't really know what to do with that. Like it was talking about, you know, hiding from a situation. Sometimes I'm just like out of sight, out of mind, but that's not necessarily the healthiest thing to do either. Sometimes I can respond, I've learned I can respond in an appropriate way and not be somebody's doormat, and also stand up for myself at the same time. And that's okay to do that, okay? That is not from a place of anger. That's not from a place of, you know, rage. That's saying, listen, I know who I am today, and I'm responsible for my actions, but no, this isn't okay, you know? And we can do that today. And as we grow and we become, you know, new people each and every single day, and we focus on the peace and serenity in our lives, I think it's also important for us to realize that we didn't get this far to be a doormat, you know? And that's something that's taken me a really, really long time to learn. So those are great meditations for today. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow.